Jordan Palmer, quarterback guru, works with both big-name Seahawks quarterbacks, right? Both Sam Darnold and now Jalen Milroe. But his kind of claim to fame is Josh Allen, right? That's the guy where it's really kind of worked out as well as it could. And he takes a few minutes to join us right now. Jordan, good morning. Thanks for jumping on the show. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Some would say Salk, his claim to fame was making his older brother.
Oh,
yeah, he was really the one that taught him everything he knows.
Is that true?
It's what little brothers do to older brothers. I know that feeling, right?
No, I think I probably, I'm like 5 years younger, so I probably tattled on him enough to make my mom mad to like keep him in line. I mean, I'll own that.
There you go.
Whatever role that played in his development, but yeah, it didn't really help him too much with the quarterback thing.
All right, well, tell us about this Jalen Milroe kid. I've been fascinated with the conversation. What can he be?
Well, I'm not big on when it comes to evaluating players, just looking like at ceilings. I think it's easy in the media, right? What can this person be from a ceiling perspective? But I think with Jalen, it's hard to ignore it because I think there's some things that personally I haven't seen before in terms of a guy that runs 4.3 that is built like him. Those are typically skinny guys. Those are littler guys. I think he's got, particularly coming out of the draft, I think he's got 15, 20 pounds on Lamar. But I think what jumps out and makes me feel like Jalen has, the trajectory that he does is actually not even physical. I just think it's who he is as a guy. And the coaches obviously felt that in the front office. That's why they drafted him. The teammates will feel that as they get to know him better. And I think you guys in the media will as well, that as unique as his physical traits are in terms of his explosiveness, top-end speed, arm talent, and just how dynamic he is, I actually think the traits that are most unique are, on the personality side of things in terms of he's like a magnet. He's incredibly likable, but he comes from this military background of, it's not even about discipline. It's so much about just finishing what you started, doing what you said you were going to do, and accountability. And those are the things that I think in today's day and age, when you got young players making money in high school and college, that I don't see as often. And that's really what jumped out to me as I got to know Jalen last year.
It's really cool. And Jordan texted me, Salk, before the show a little bit. And I knew a fair amount of this, but I didn't know the lengths that you go to, not just with guys coming in to train with you for 3 days, but the amount of time on task you spend, right, studying their tape and helping them throughout the entirety of a season. It's really cool. And when you study Jalen, Salk rattled off the completion percentage numbers to me, and they're really high. He was like a 67%?
64.3,
okay,
I think it was.
I mean, mid-60s, which then, Jordan, when I watched the Combine and when I watched the Senior Bowl and, you kind of sprayed the ball, I was like, that doesn't really add up. So as you studied him, and when he does miss, is there a consistent fundamental thing there to clean up? Can he be a guy that can be a refined passer at this next level?
Well, I believe that, but I'll use this as my soapbox. Here's what's wrong with the evaluation on the media side of things, even former players, Brock, and certainly fans, is I think we assume that throwing mechanics are in one of two stages. They're either not clean, whatever term you want to use. They're not cleaned up. They're not refined. Or there's like this imaginary threshold where they now are refined, right? So you look at somebody and you go, oh, he's got a lot to clean up. And then you look at whoever you think's really good in the NFL and you go, oh, he's good. Your mechanics, how you throw, and mechanics is not oversimplified into throwing mechanics. There's a lot of elements to it. There's your force transfer sequence, how you transfer force to the ground. We do it 3 ways. We do it laterally, we do it rotationally, we do it vertically. That's it. There's a sequence to that. And then there's, to get nerdy, a kinematic throwing sequence. So that is your pelvis turns, your trunk rotates, your elbow extends, and your shoulder internally rotates. That's a 4-step sequence. That sequence. And then there's just the feel and the touch and the control of how the ball comes off your hand. The reason I get all nerdy and say all that is there is no clean or not clean on mechanics, every single person in the NFL, it's an evolution. Every year they should be throwing it different. They should be refining things. Pull up some old Tom Brady tape. Pull up early Tom Brady tape after he won a Super Bowl, when his mechanics should be clean, right? Because he won a Super Bowl. It looks like a different player. And so I think every quarterback, certainly that I work with, from a mechanical perspective, is on an evolution. What I do is come in and help expedite that process. And so with Jalen, I think there are elements of his throwing mechanics that are really, really clean and really consistent. And like every other quarterback in the NFL, there's some that need refinement. And it's not even refinement. It's building out that sequence further. And then the next phase is getting more comfortable with it, where you can repeat that pattern. And then you get to the point where you go repeat that pattern, whether your feet are in the right spot or not. And every quarterback is on the journey of all of those sequences and all the elements of throwing. It is an evolution. Every year your throwing motion should evolve. I started working with Sam Darnold, met him when he was 14, started working with him really his freshman year in college. And he lives down the street from me. That's every single offseason. I've thrown with Sam Darnold 10 times more than I've thrown with the second most guy. And he's still evolving the things that he worked on this offseason. A lot more minute than some of the guys coming into the league right now. But it's still a constant evolution.
Talking to Jordan Palmer, maybe the first pelvis reference we've had on the show in a while, which is good. We don't get a lot of pelvis references. Sure? I can't think of one.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you measure the angular velocity in degrees per second, and they want that separation between 8 and 12 degrees.
All right, good.
Salk's memory is so bad. You don't remember Michael Bennett's 3-pump pelvis?
I do, I guess, pumps. Yes. I said in a while. I didn't say ever, just in a while. So help me here.
That's the first Michael Bennett reference I've heard in a while.
Yeah. You'd be surprised. Listen to the show. You might get more than you think. If for a layman, for someone like me, I didn't play quarterback in the NFL. I didn't come anywhere near the NFL. For a layman, for a common fan, for anyone else, as we are watching Milroe, what should we be looking at to let us know he's succeeding, improving, on the right track? What should I be looking for?
Well, I think if you go through like the life cycle of a quarterback, okay, let's say Jalen, he was a big-time recruit, went to a big-time school, and was a third-round pick. So if you think about in high school, how does a high school quarterback get on the college radar, get big-time offers, get on the Elite 11 radar? Well, it's largely playmaking, right? I'm on the Elite 11 staff. We look at highlights a lot of times, right? And so you go through this process where the rewards-based system is off of playmaking, right? Your highlights, so making plays. Nobody posts full games on Twitter when they're in high school. They post their highlights, okay? And then how do you get to be drafted high? Well, there's a lot of elements of it, right? Who you are but the body of work, it's not just highlights, but that's certainly helpful. That is how you win a Heisman, right? You don't win a Heisman by taking the check down every time. And so the rewards-based system in college is largely playmaking. And then it's also kind of learning how to put the ball in play. And then you get to the NFL, and it's pretty much all about putting the ball in play. And if you can make highlight plays, awesome, but I need you to put the ball in play. And so there's the evolution of the American quarterback. And so what I work with clients that are transitioning into the NFL, well, when I work with clients that are going from one level to the next, high school to college or college to pro, it should be an evolution of them transitioning from a playmaker to a guy whose foundation is putting the ball in play.
What does that mean?
So what I'm going to be watching,
just real quick, what do you mean when you say putting the ball in play? What does that mean?
Taking what they give you, being totally fine, just distributing the football. Okay. Now, that's going to play out in completion percentage, but even completion percentage can be misleading with your receivers catching the ball and all that. But when I watch tape of when you throw the ball and it hits the guy's hands, even if I don't know your offense, because I watch every snap of all of my clients' games. I don't know everybody's offense. I don't know what the coach told them to do on that play. But when the ball hits the receiver's hands, is that the most open guy? And does that even just to me make sense why the ball went there? So distributing the football, essentially replacing defenders with the ball. And then in man coverage, that's where you talk about accuracy, timing, and the tempo on the ball. So I want to see any young player, Jalen included, the evolution of them become a guy where we're no longer relying on making plays and making something happen. I'm just dead set on putting the ball in play, distributing it. There's absolutely an element of accuracy to that because I can't keep throwing the flat route if I slow him down or have him jump or have him dive to catch it. But that's where all of it comes together. But it's the mindset of the way you win in the NFL is by distributing the football and putting it in play and not relying on your ability to make plays.
Poster child for that might just be Sam Darnold, Minnesota Vikings 2024. Right? I mean, in many ways of what you're talking about there, and speak of his evolution, big-time recruit, USC, Heisman contender, top 5 pick in the draft, and going from playmaker to game manager, as crazy as that sounds. Wasn't that a huge, huge part of Sam's journey last year?
Yeah, I think this got popular on the internet a few years ago, people, debating the definition of the term game manager, but I've always thought it was a compliment. I think Tom Brady is the best game manager of all time. He's also the best quarterback of all time. Those are the same thing to me. And yeah, I think with Sam Darnold, I mean, nobody's watched every snap like me. And I'm for full disclosure here, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm his number one fan. Okay, so
I think we got that.
But I'll give you as many facts as possible. I realized that when Sam went to San Fran, that was probably the first time that he really was coached. And I know that sounds crazy to fans when they go, what are you talking about? He's in the NFL. Brock, you probably relate to this. Yeah. But learning, that was the first time his footwork lined up with the concept. And Brock, it's crazy how many offensive coordinators are in the league right now who let the quarterback do whatever drop they want, whether they want to do it that way or not. And so with Sam, he goes to San Francisco, and the fan base, fans-wise, it was like, oh, he's the backup. He didn't do it. I think it clicked for Sam going into San Fran. And what we do together is, in a nutshell, is eliminate unnecessary movement and remove momentum from their game. I believe this whole game is about movement. And if you miss and you're talented, you probably put yourself in a position to miss. So it's the movement that precedes the throw that typically causes the mechanical issue. And so with Sam, all of that clicked going into San Fran because it was a mess. He had 5 coordinators in 5 years before that. And then he backed up Brock. But he also got a chance to be on a team that went to the Super Bowl and be a part of that every single day and go against those guys every single day and see the way that was the first time he'd won. They didn't really win in San Clemente High School. They didn't really win at SC outside of him being a playmaker and rattling off 9 straight wins in a Rose Bowl year. And they never won in New York or in Carolina. So we've never really been around a winning culture. Then goes to Minnesota last year, and it's similar footwork. It's coached similarly, high-level football conversations happening, and a winning culture, and he brought his own element to that. And from an encouragement standpoint, I try and give my clients like a quote to hold on to. And I have different ones for different guys. And the quote, every word's purposeful in it. And it's something that they can look at, think about, and work on every day because there's elements of them. And for Sam, for years, because as long as I've known him, he's never cut a corner. He's never showed up late. He's never canceled a workout because he's got something going on. He is as literally as consistent of a professional athlete as I've ever been around, and that's including my brother. And I've been telling him for years that here's his quote: there will be a time and a place where all you have to do is play to the best of your abilities, and you'll be in every game with a chance to make a run at the end. And every year I thought it would be the year, and then turns out last year was the first time. His 4th team in 7 years or whatever it is was the first time that happened, and look what happened. And so my hope is in Seattle, not just this year, but as the years come, that's the situation they'll be in, because you put that type of player in that type of situation, and you got a chance to make a run at the end.
Let's go.
It's pretty cool. All I know is a lot of the Seahawks' success this year depends on you. Sort of what it seems like. I mean, you got both these guys, so we're counting on you.
Where I have everybody in the room. I did Drew Lock's draft prep too.
Did you? Oh my gosh!
Yeah, there we go.
Wow. All right. Well,
it's all on you, Jordan. Good luck.
We're going to blame you if everything goes awry, but we're really going to give you a lot of credit if this team makes the playoffs.
I'm far enough away where I could care less.
Hey, Jordan, thank you. Awesome. This was fascinating. A lot of great response here from listeners as well. We appreciate it, and we'd love to have you back as this season gets underway and talk a little bit more about this.
Yeah, can I add one thing real quick?
Please.
I have a lot of Seahawks fan friends, and I went to Now, my brother was 3-0 up there.
Yeah.
But I went to all those games, and definitely one of the best fan bases. One of my best friends in the world was Trevor Moad, who was Russell's performance psychologist up there for all those years. So intimately involved. Known Pete since I was in 8th grade. And here's what I'll say. I actually think, and I'll throw Drew in this too, but Sam and Jalen, from a consistency, work ethic, leadership, and those are, cover all terms. That might be one of the best rooms in the league, and you only go as far as that room goes. And if I'm a Seahawks fan, I know it's not exciting to get pumped up about high character, but from a character perspective, leadership, all those things, which are generic cliche terms that we just throw around, I actually think the Seahawks have one of the best rooms in the league. And if I'm a Seahawks fan this time of year and I'm looking for stuff to be excited about, be pumped on that.
Pretty cool. Hey, Jordan, thank you very much. We appreciate it. We'll hopefully talk again, and we'll be right back with everything you need to know. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710. Well, we really do appreciate you guys watching our videos.
And remember, you can like it, you can subscribe it, you can download the Seattle Sports app so you never miss a minute.